So Torah says like this, page 800. So it's a very interesting, a very deep concept here that's mentioned by one of the commentaries. It says like this. It's in about 7 lines from the top of the page. If you find it, please show the person next to you. It's on Pasuk, starts on Pasuk Chaf Gimel 23. So when the spies go into the land of Israel, so they're going to bring back fruit. And then it says like this. Vayavo ad Nachal Eshkol, they come to a place called the creek, or how does he translate it? The valley of Eshkol, okay? Vayichrasu misham zemora ve'eshkol anovim echad, they take a cluster of grapes. Vayisau v'amot b'shnayim, they carry it with poles. Umin harimonim, they take a pomegranate. Umin hatenim, and they take a fig. So the commentaries point out that it took 10 men. The 8 men had to carry the grapes because they're humongous grapes. One man carried a pomegranate, and 1 man carried a fig. These were oversized fruits, and the purpose of bringing them back was to try to intimidate the Jewish people and make them think that the land is a bunch of giants there, all of whom are going to crush us if we go into the land, and we're going to get, it's not a good idea. Now, one of the commentators asked the following question. If you know anything about the land of Israel is blessed with 7 species of produce. So you have wheat and barley, which are grains. But then you have 5 types of fruit. You have figs, pomegranates, grapes, olives, and dates. So the commentaries ask, well, they brought back 3 species. They brought back grapes, and they brought back figs, and they brought back a fig, and they brought back pomegranate. Why didn't they bring back olives and dates? So, what's that? They were small, but why should they be small if everything else is big? The answer is you're right, but the question is why? And that begs a further question. How did Yoshua and Kalev get away with not bringing back fruit? That would blow your cover. If we say, why don't you bring up fruit? And they're big, remember, they're huge. So everybody's carrying, 8 guys are carrying the grapes, 1 is carrying the fig, 1's carrying a pomegranate, all of which is to discourage the Jewish people. Yoshua and Kalev are coming back empty-handed. Well, the logical thing would be you take a fig and you take a pomegranate, why don't you bring it back? The answer is that the fig and pomegranate, the olives and the dates were small, and therefore that doesn't serve your purpose. And therefore they got off easy. You know, if you take a fig and you take a date, which are small, that's going to undermine the entire plot for what we're trying to do. But then that begs a further question, why were they small? Why were the figs this? So the answer is like this. The Chassam Sofer, it's one of the great commentaries, it says like this. The manna that fell in the desert, what did the manna taste like? So you know the famous message says it could taste like anything you wanted. You could make it taste like whatever you wanted, whatever you felt it would taste. They even commentators said they adopted that texture. So you could have a ribeye steak, and then you could have ice cream Monday for dessert, you know, because the man could take anything. You have milk examflation. You can make it taste like anything you wanted. However, when the Torah describes the man in 2 ways. It's described as a tzapichis bidvash, a wafer in honey, and honey in the Torah means date honey. And it's also described as lishad hashemen, some sort of oil-based substance, which means that the man had within it some sort of oil and some sort of date. Oil comes from olives. So the commentaries point out like this: the olives and the oil, how does it get into the manna? The manna is a divine food. Now let's try to envision it. It's kind of a bit of an esoteric concept. The idea is like this: God brings down some sort of energy, call it an influence. And that energy, why should the fruits of the land of Israel have become oversized? They become oversized because there's a specific blessing that rested on this fruit. Well, God doesn't just distribute it out like you're a deck of cards. There's a specific blessing that goes to the figs, a specific blessing that goes to the pomegranates, a specific blessing that goes to the grapes. That's a direct blessing from God. God also blessed the man with a direct blessing that it should have an olive and a date characteristic. Well, that, so to speak, uses up the energy for the olives and the dates. Therefore, the olives and the dates in the land of Israel were regular size. They didn't have there was no leftover, so to speak, no leftover blessing for the ones in the land of Israel to become oversized. Therefore, they did not bring them back because it would defeat the purpose. Therefore, it answers the question which many people have asked. So why didn't they bring them back? The answer is very logical. They were not the right size because that divine energy wasn't there. And therefore, they had to leave them in the land of Israel. That's what the Chassam Sofer says. Now.